Well, great. How wonderful to see so many of the Springfield College community here with us today to celebrate our annual Humanics lecture. My name is Marianne Coughlin, and I have the distinct honor of serving as the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Springfield College. This really is a signature event at the college. Each spring, it brings us to a spot where it's a rite of passage, where the current humanics professor reports on their year of service and shares their reflection of both their accomplishments during the year and their sense of humanics here at Springfield College. It also contains the rite of passage where we thank Kathy for her year of service and welcome a new distinguished professor of humanics for the 23-24 academic year. I would like to start this event by recognizing the current distinguished professors of humanics who are here in the audience with us today. I'm just going to roll down my list, and I think I have everybody checked off, but if I don't, I know that this group is not shy and they'll let me know that they're here. First, I'd like to recognize Herb Zettel. Herb, would you stand and recognize? I'd like to recognize Elizabeth Evans. Dr. Peter Polito. Frank Torrey. Dottie Potter Zanotti. Dr. Mimi Murray. Professor Robert Corsi. Coach Naomi Graves. Professor Marty Dobra. Dr. Regina Kaufman. Dean Susan Dyer. Dr. Anthony Hill. Coach Keith Bugby. And you can recognize the majority of the distinguished professors by the fact that they're wearing a boutonniere. And I guess I will say that I didn't steal one. I too am a distinguished professor. Now let me ask Dr. Cooper to come up and provide some welcoming comments.
Good afternoon. It's great to see so many of you back here on campus. And the one thing I know about the group of distinguished professors of humanics is they are a group that's very well-rounded. They live our mission, and humanics is at their core. So not only today will we be educated by our finest and last, not really last, next, our current, thank you very much, our current distinguished professor of humanics, but this is also a group that throughout the year pulls together community events that sponsor student scholarships. This is a group that does wine tasting, that does chili, they play in golf tournaments, they're at alumni events. Really, it's a commitment of not just 1 year, but by their presence today, you see that it's a lifelong commitment. And so the honor to be in this position is one that I imagine, and I didn't steal a boutonniere, I imagine is pretty special, but it's a lifelong commitment to Springfield College. And that's what we need more of. We need people that in their retirement are sending students to us, in their retirement are coming together to celebrate all good things in Springfield. And so when I looked at my calendar last night for today, I just thinking about who was going to be in the room brought a smile to my face. And so for our students that are in the room, and I appreciate you coming, you're in for a treat. Because not only are you going to hear from Dr. Mangano, you're going to hear from others, as she is probably one of the most inclusive years, interviewed so many people that are in the room. When I look around, I see people that were on your panels, people that were in videos. It wasn't just Kathy's idea. She reached out to so many, all the people in this community that were impacted by Title IX. And so for me, it just really is the core of Humanics. And so I want to personally say thank you for all of the hard work, Kathy. It was remarkable, your persistence, the amount of time and energy you put into educating not only our current community, but also the community that surrounds us. And the amount of people that were able to take advantage of the video streams and the opportunities was remarkable. So it wasn't just our community, but it was the outside community as well. And so personally, I want to say thank you for all your hard work, and I look forward to your thoughts tonight.
So now, on to the main event, as they say. It is my pleasure to introduce someone who on this campus really needs little introduction, especially after the year she's had here as a Distinguished Professor of Humanics, Dr. Kathy Mangano. As her bio in the program states, for more than 3 decades of teaching, coaching, and leadership experience at Springfield College bear witness to her commitment to our Humanics philosophy and her dedication and loyalty to Springfield College. So Kathy, let me turn this over to you and get out of your way.
Thank you, Mary Ann and President Cooper. Wow, it's wonderful to see you all here this afternoon. Thank you for being here. President Cooper, Provost Coughlin, distinguished professors of Humanics Emeriti, faculty colleagues, administrators, staff, students, family, and friends, thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to take you on a journey that includes my lived Humanics and Title IX experiences. A year ago this month, I was sitting in this room as Keith Bugbee gave his powerful Humanics lecture, stressing the importance of showing up. I witnessed the impact of his mantra every day through his actions and the actions of others. And I am thankful for what these actions taught me. At the conclusion of the lecture, Provost Coughlin recognized me as the 2022-2023 Distinguished Springfield Professor of Humanics. I was honored, excited, humbled, and scared. As a proud alumni and faculty member for 34 years at this special institution, I know the magnitude and the responsibility of this prestigious role. So many of my professors and colleagues have had the honor of serving as Humanics professor. Sadly, 2 of them, Drs. Bob Barkman and Jim Janassi, passed on this year. May they both rest in peace. The respect and admiration I have for our distinguished professors and for this institution are why I have spent 40 years of my life here. Thus, the reason why I have been praying every day to have the courage and the confidence to do a good job. This has been an emotional roller coaster year. On April 19th, I was honored as the Distinguished Springfield Professor of Humanics. On May 15th, tennis legend and gender equity advocate Billie Jean King delivered the 136th Springfield College commencement address, kicking off the college's celebrating opportunity, 50 years, Title IX. On June 21st, the Basketball Hall of Fame sponsored the Title IX 50th anniversary celebration and forum at the Springfield Symphony Hall with current and former women's basketball coaches and players. On June 23rd, the nation celebrated the 50th anniversary of President Richard Nixon's signing of Title IX of the Education Amendment of 1972. This was also the date that the National Academy of Health and Physical Literacy dropped the Title IX webcast that was filmed at and hosted by Springfield College. On June 24th, the athletic department hosted a clinic for girls in celebrating National Girls and Women in Sports Day. As Billie Jean King stated, the more you know about history, the more you know about yourself. And more importantly, though, it helps you shape the future. Thus, as I embarked on my journey serving as the Distinguished Springfield Professor of Humanics, it only seemed fitting to focus my project on this monumentous 50th anniversary of Title IX. Throughout the summer months and beyond, I spent quality time meeting with several humanics professors, emeriti, to learn about their experiences and journey. I am thankful that they accompanied me on my walk. I also enjoyed reading previous lectures, including Seth Arsenian's 1967, The Meaning of Humanics, and the Humanics Philosophy of Springfield College, which he edited, as well as other literature. On August 9th, I shared my humanics project with the Springfield College community through a campus-wide email. My letter highlighted the intent of my project, Title IX at 50, Educate and Advocate, and outlined my focus to educate about this important civil rights law that provides access and equality in education for all. In addition, a second component of my project encouraged the community to advocate for the preservation and the strengthening of this law. Just a few weeks later, on September 1st, my mom passed away after a long battle with Alzheimer's. The night before she died, my mom gave me and my 5 siblings a special gift, the gift of quality time together as we stayed with her on her last night. It was a time to laugh, cry, reflect, and bond even closer as we said our goodbyes. And just a month ago, my siblings and I sold our family home of over 60 years. During these months, we experienced challenges within our own campus. Turmoil included a lack of trust and fear of retaliation. It was apparent we needed, and still do today, to engage in strengthening our campus culture by expressing appreciation for others, kind-heartedly embracing an inclusive culture, inviting dissent, and helping and support and preserve the understanding of and the sense of pride in our distinct humanics philosophy. As humanics professor emeriti Margaret Lloyd said in her 1997 lecture, quote, "Each of us can be proud of the ways in which we contribute to the rich fabric of Springfield College. In addition, each one of us must answer to the ways we fail to contribute to a nourishing, vital, and challenging environment on this campus, an environment that respects the dignity and the potential of all human beings." As tradition holds for this lecture, I will share through my self-reflection and reflection on the words of others before me what humanics means to me. In high school, I knew I wanted to be a physical educator. With the guidance of my own physical educators, it was clear that the best place and only place to go was Springfield College, the Mecca. I recall my first time visiting campus, how quickly I gravitated to the humanics philosophy, educating the whole person in spirit, mind, and body for leadership and service to others. My guess is many of you in this room know exactly what I'm talking about. The college seal, created by Luther Gulick, with the inverted equilateral triangle, reflects those things that are the building blocks of our humanics mission. Spirit on the top, mind and body on the sides, the lamp of knowledge in the center, and the circle that encloses the triangle symbolizes balance. Balance in spirit, mind, and body is what I strive to practice daily. As Seth Arsenian identified in our first Humanics lecture, quote, "The meaning of Humanics cannot stay static. It must change as we learn more of the nature and the potentialities of man in society," unquote. He continued, quote, "I believe that in the Humanics heritage of this college, there is a worthy concept of education, a deliberate object of identification, and a challenging idea to be tested out in action. Humanics is what the trustees, incorporators, administrators, faculty, and students of Springfield College make it to be," unquote. For me, the key words mentioned in his statement are in action. Humanics is actionable, and as Bob Corshitz shared in his 2010 Humanics lecture, quote, "Humanics commands all of us to be hopeful, humble, caring, and dutiful. It is a call to action, to make a difference in the lives of others. It is in our Springfield College DNA to heed this call to action. The spirit of Humanics dictates that we are never on the sidelines, but rather always in the middle of the action," unquote. In his 1981 Humanics lecture, Henry Parr explained, quote, "It is only when we act, when we make humane contact that we are Humanics. We behave with people, not toward them, because that makes the others objects. With them, because that keeps people equal. Humanics is an action that categorizes an action-oriented college." Diane Potter said in 1990, quote, "The collective result of each individual's action will be an institutional directive for change. The people are Springfield College. Therefore, what we do is what Springfield College stands for. We, as an institution, must not only have a written Humanics philosophy, but must demonstrate by our actions that we are doing Humanics. Then and only then will Humanics, or the Humanics philosophy, be the real meaning of Springfield College." Similarly, Joel Daring expressed in 1998, quote, "I believe Humanics is about what we do. It's about putting philosophy into action," unquote. And in 2012, Naomi Graves emphasized the importance of stewardship in Humanics. To express this, she created a t-shirt that read, quote, "Ask me about Humanics. It's not about me, it's about we. It's about our responsibility," unquote, to act. As a resounding call to action, Peter Polito in his 1999 lecture said, quote, "I wanted to do all that I could to act as a catalyst to breathe a new life into Humanics and to make Humanics alive at Springfield College," unquote. And that he surely did when he established Humanics in Action Day, which we unfortunately no longer celebrate. I wanted to emulate his Humanics in Action when I borrowed that phrase from my Title IX Advocacy in Action event. Peter and others also demonstrated a call to action by creating the Friends of Humanics Scholarship, which has supported so many students, as it will when we recognize our new Humanics scholars today. Mimi Murray, my mentor, my role model, and my dear friend, said in her 2008 Humanics lecture entitled, "Our Great Adventure in Education, the Whole Story," quote, "The Humanics philosophy is predicated on the belief that any endeavor that facilitates positive change is worth the effort," unquote. You and I know that effort is another word for action, and Mimi's efforts to preserve Title IX range from her fight for women on this campus to her fight for girls and women in Washington, D.C. Her fighting spirit taught me and gave me the confidence to speak up. That is what Humanics means to me. Title IX of the Education Amendments, 1972, 37 words, states, quote, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." Under Title IX, sex discrimination can include denying admissions to an educational or training program, providing unequal educational resources to students of one sex compared to another, and engage in gender-based or sexual harassment, to name a few. As I dove into the history, implementation, and enforcement, or shall I say lack of, I realized how much I didn't know about Title IX. This motivated me to align my project with the meaning of Humanics as described by Seth Arsenian and so many of our Humanics professors after him, by making it actionable. Thus, I spent the year taking action to educate our college and the greater community, and by taking action to advocate, to encourage others to take action to preserve and strengthen this law. My Title IX journey was entitled Title IX 50 Educate and Advocate. I want to thank the Title IX Commemoration Steering Committee co-chairs Sue Geyer and Naomi Graves, Jane Johnson Votero, Tammy Cades-Lucy, Erin Leeper, Marty Dobrow, Greg Poison, Michelle Lisa Sina, and the Office of Non-Discrimination Initiatives, especially Erin Leeper, our Title IX coordinator, for their hard work and support, and all of you who helped organize or participated in these educational events and programming offered throughout the year. We have many people to thank for the advocacy efforts, including Bernice Sandler, godmother of Title IX, Representative Patsy Mink, Representative Edith Green, Senator Birch Bayh, and Senator Ted Kennedy. On our campus, we can thank our pioneers and legends, Mimi Murray, Diane Potter, Joan Bush, Dottie Zanotti, and Brandon Smith King, and Donna Lopiano and Sean Latta. Recently retired alumni director Tammy Cades-Lucy deserves our gratitude for all her work in putting together an awesome Title IX trailblazing panel and Title IX, the power of 37 words conversation during homecoming weekend. Over the past 7 months, I had the pleasure of interviewing a diverse group of individuals. For each of the webcasts, I asked a series of questions that would help educate us on Title IX, including a breakdown of the law, the new transgender athlete policy, understanding the role of the Title IX coordinator, or hearing a male perspective, and more. As I shared in my first of 8 webcasts, when Damon Markowitz interviewed me, I was 8 years old when Title IX passed. I didn't know much about it. Yet as I got older, I began to learn more and appreciate everything the Trailblazers did to improve the inequities we, as girls and women, faced. I was fortunate to have family and parents that always supported me in playing sports. In high school, I was a 3-sport athlete, experienced subpar facilities for softball compared to the baseball field. Softball and girls' soccer fields used the town fields rather than the high school fields as the boys did. And the girls' basketball games were at 5 instead of 7 p.m. prime time that the boys had. In college, at Springfield College, as a player, the softball field was definitely the worst athletic facility on campus. As the head softball coach here, I regularly submitted requests for a facility upgrade with repeated unfavorable responses. In 1996, our team was denied the opportunity to host the NCAA regional tournament due to facility conditions. In 1996, it was also the year I earned tenure also known as job security. So in 1996, So, in 1996, I submitted a Title IX complaint to our administration. I prepared and presented Title IX, NCAA, and other supportive documents to our college projects committee. The project was approved, but at far less than the original budget. Renovations to Potter Field began in 1997 and were completed in time for the 1998 season. Sadly, I was advised to wait until I had job security tenure to speak up for what was clearly a Title IX violation. Let me share more about my webcast. Each subject featured shared an impactful Title IX story and wrapped up by providing a piece of advice on how to advocate to strengthen and secure Title IX. I hope you had an opportunity to view them. I would like to share a clip of my interview with two of our students, Kobe Wilson and Mason Tashi, President and Vice President of the Men of Excellence Club.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. Looking forward to asking you a few questions. If you both could respond to each question, that would be great. Thank you. The first question. Title IX law changed the educational landscape by prohibiting sex-based discrimination in programs that receive federal funding. Title IX opened the doors for girls and women in all aspects of education, including expanding opportunities in academic programs, athletics, and so much more. So my question, why do you think Title IX is important to boys and men?
For sure. So I can go first. I think Title IX is looked at as an issue that only impacts women. I think as men, it's important that we become advocates and we learn a lot of things. We educate ourselves on Title IX, topics around Title IX, because no change is going to be made until those who are discriminated against and those who aren't are both just as passionate to pushing change forward. Being raised by my mother, having a half sister, my grandmothers, just thinking of all the hardships they had being women growing up, and how Title IX helped lighten that burden, but we still have a lot of room to work. I just think about them a lot, so that inspires me to keep working, to educate myself, and become more educated on Title IX itself. So,
great, thank you. Mason, anything to add?
Yeah, so I think it's super important for boys and men to have female sort of mentors, and so it creates a different perspective for you to view things from. And having female coaches and stuff like that is also super important because you also get a different perspective from that with training and everything. And I also think it's super important for us because we practice every day, guys and girls, men and women together. So just working with them, sort of almost competing against each other at practice brings sort of it makes practice more fun, having different people and more people there and different perspectives all come together.
What excites me is, as of yesterday, a total of 1,560 viewers have seen these webcasts. The academic year was packed with a variety of Title IX celebratory events. The kickoff event was during new student orientation, where head softball coach Kate Bowen and assistant softball coach Abby Conley pitched hit for me by promoting my Title IX project, while my family and I were attending services for my mother. Other events included 9/9 for Title IX, the history of Women's Basketball Day, with an amazing cast of presenters, including Tamika Catchings, Tina Thompson, Ann Myers-Drysdale, Andrew Marinus, and Madeline Weiss. Kudos to Marty Dobrow and Naomi Graves, both Humanics professors emeriti, for a spectacular job interviewing these superstars, and to President Cooper for her engaging conversation with the then Massachusetts Attorney General and gubernatorial candidate, Maura Healey. If you haven't seen it by now, I encourage you to take a tour of the Sporting Women insights from her past, exhibit on the second floor of the Wellness Center. Kudos to another Humanics professor emeritus, Sue Geyer, for spearheading this now permanent display, and to Jane Johnson Botero for organizing the installation. I also encourage faculty to link Title IX to their curricula, if they don't already do so, to help educate our students. For an example, in my graduate level courses, I included discussions of Title IX and its impact on students, athletes, and physical education classes, which would now be co-ed. Students were required to complete an opinion reflection paper on how Title IX will or has impacted them professionally, including sharing what they plan to do to educate, comply, or advocate for Title IX in the future. Numerous Title IX resource materials were provided on our website to help with curricular content. I would like to thank Professor Tim Allen for inviting Aaron Leeper and me to his business ethics class courses this fall. Prior to our visit, his students submitted a reflection paper on their attendance at one of the previously mentioned events. I would like to share a part of one of those reflection papers. Quote, I thought Title IX meant just sports equality. I had no idea that it also meant equality for academics by opening up opportunities for women within higher education. What I liked most about this opportunity to learn about Title IX was that it gave me a different perspective other than my own, and being a man. I had no idea that women suffered from so much adversity in the sports world and how far they have come today, unquote. With the help of our college archivist, Jeff Monso, my fall intern, Isabel Sampsey, Aaron Leeper, the library services, during the month of November, we set up a Celebrating Title IX at 50 display of memorabilia and an electric timeline in the Harold C. Smith Learning Commons. Some of the dates to highlight include, in 1935, when Springfield College admitted a few women to increase tuition revenue. 1939, when Dottie Paulin became the first full-time physical education graduate. In 1951, Springfield College admitted women as full-time regular status students. And Dorothy Wright was hired as the first dean of women. Abbey Hall, the first women's residence hall, also opened. In 1954, Eunice Gonant was the first woman to graduate under the new full-time women's program. In 1963, women's intercollegiate athletics program began with field hockey, tennis, basketball, and softball, 9 years before Title IX was signed into law. In 1973, Shannon Miles was appointed the Director of Campus Security at Springfield College. She is believed to be the first woman Director of Security on a college or university in the country. In 1981, the NCAA offered the first championship of women's athletics and became the official governing body of women's sports. In 2000, Kathy Schweitzer became the first female director of athletics at Springfield College. And in 2013, Mary Beth Cooper was appointed as the college's 13th president and the first woman to hold this position at the college. Additionally, the Safe Zone program started at Springfield College to educate the community on LGBTQ issues. Another educate component of my project included a series of reading trails, signs posted around campus, as you saw as you were walking into this building. The Title IX cab rides, where a member of my distinguished Springfield Professor of Humanics team and I would pick up people around campus and bring them to their destination, all while asking them a few Title IX educate questions. The prizes, besides a ride around campus, were a goodie bag filled with Title IX paraphernalia and candy. These were all educating events, yet the most powerful and emotional event for me personally was the Student Against Violence Everywhere Take Back the Night event and the Women's Forum event sponsored by the Women of Power, the Student Society of Bridging Diversity, and the Men of Excellence groups. I want to thank the students who shared their stories and who are taking action to make a difference. Our Title IX social media account, as well as the Springfield Student newspaper, have been two active Title IX educate and advocate voices. Articles in newspapers, articles and stories covering all aspects of Title IX have been posted and written by the editors on page 9 of every edition of The Student. A special thank you to the Springfield student editors and faculty supervisor, Amy Crawford, for all their support. The theme of celebrating opportunity in Springfield, Title IX at 50, was prevalent in many of the School of Pepsel annual lectures. The Karpovich Lecture celebrated building inclusive sport culture through the study of sport exclusion by Nefertiti Walker. The Wetwork Lecture featured The Ball Doesn't Care Who You Are by alumni Camille Fernando Kraft. And the 2023 Charles J. Redmond Distinguished Athletic Training Alumni Lecture Series highlighted 4 alumni who are breaking the glass ceiling in athletic training. In addition, the annual Sports and Social Justice Symposium, initiated by Marty Dobrov and co-sponsored by the Athletics Department and the Division of Inclusion and Community Engagement, spotlighted the barrier-breaking journey of Kathy Schweitzer, the first female athletic director at Springfield College, and it honored Lily Gould and Ariel Johnson with the Tom Waddell Level the Playing Field Award. And Erin Leeper and I co-hosted the Title IX Across the Professions event with a panel of cross-generational alumni who discussed how Title IX provided pathways into careers in male-dominant fields and how they thrive within those cultures. The 2023 National Girls and Women in Sport Day, held in the Fieldhouse, provided an opportunity for girls in grades K through 5 to participate in clinics and meet with several of our female student athletes. They also learned a little bit about Title IX and what it was like prior to the passage, when girls and women had fewer opportunities. Although other events took place during March and April, a significant event for my project was held on February 9th. As part of the advocate component of the project, I welcomed the members of the Springfield College community to create an advocacy project to help educate, secure, and/or strengthen Title IX. Those who registered had an opportunity to showcase their project at the Title IX Advocacy and Action event. For me, the event was electrifying. I was, as I shared with the presenters before that event started, a kid in a candy store. The Dodge Room in the Richard B. Flint Campus Union was filled with 18 different projects completed by faculty, staff, and students. They included sports clinics with a Title IX emphasis, examination of the experiences of LGBTQ+ individuals competing in NCAA women's sports, awareness of Title IX among high school students and the opportunity for them to educate their peers. Also explored were pregnancy and parenting under Title IX and sexual harassment and violence. Players from our men's lacrosse program interviewed a family member or friend about Title IX. Let me introduce you to Jackson Lane's aunt.
I am Jackson Lane's Aunt Diane. I was a 3-sport athlete in college. I played field hockey, I ran indoor track, and I played lacrosse at Tufts. Title IX passed in 1972 when I was 12 years old. So prior to that, there were really no youth sports available to girls. at least in my town, you pick up sports when you got to junior high or high school, which I did, and went on to play in college. But we had very limited options, not like what the boys had available to them. When I got to campus in 1978, schools were really just beginning to come into compliance with some of the mandates for equity that Title IX set forth. The good news for us was we didn't know any better. We still had a lot of fun and we were very successful, despite not having anything close to what the boys had in terms of equipment, locker rooms, facilities, uniforms. Anyway, it was a great experience regardless, and it's been thrilling to see the changes that have taken place as schools did come into compliance with Title IX, and to see all that's available to women now, and that things truly are a lot more equitable. Even more exciting for me has been watching my nieces have opportunities to play in youth sports and find out what athletics can mean in their lives at a much younger age. So, happy anniversary, Title IX, 50 years, woohoo.
Attendees roam the crowded room, learning all aspects of Title IX. The last part of the project asked the presenters to submit a reflection paper in which they shared what they learned from doing a project and how it relates to the Humanics philosophy. Anna Patino, PhD candidate, wrote, quote, "This project provides a glimpse where gaps in access and protection exist and serves as an opportunity to advance the systems impacted by Title IX in order to encompass all relevant identities. Furthermore, until safety is afforded to individuals who are marginalized under educational programs and activities to which Title IX applies, the law is not complete. It is only partially fulfilling what is intended to do," unquote. I want to thank all the presenters for an amazing job they did in educating and advocating for the Title IX, as well as all the attendees. I hope you learned something that evening. Next up, it's time to get the arm warmed up in preparation for throwing out the first pitch at our baseball game's Title IX game this Saturday versus Clark University. One of the several things I have learned this year is that so many don't know what Title IX is or know our rights under Title IX. As an institution, I encourage us to continue to be vigilant by taking action to ensure that our trainings and programs focus on inclusive practices. As stated by the Association of Title IX Administrators, quote, "Title IX programs are stronger when we broaden our outlook and develop greater awareness of how our systems can be better addressed to address the diverse needs of our students, faculty, and staff," unquote. Let's continue to celebrate Title IX by speaking up and speaking out. Let's engage in actions that bend towards justice in all areas, beyond our campus community, but especially within. Let's strengthen our campus culture by expressing appreciation for others, kind-heartedly embracing an inclusive culture, inviting dissent, speaking out in spite of fear, and preserving our distinct Humanics philosophy. It is the Springfield way. What is needed for change? Action. Critical for strengthening and securing Title IX or any injustice is for us to employ decision makers who will take action to support equity and prevent discrimination. We need to hold decision makers accountable. Additionally, the enforcement of Title IX depends on resources. Nationally, we need the funding, the strongest enforcement tool possible. We need the government to properly fund the Office of Civil Rights. And then we need the Office of Civil Rights to cut off federal funding for schools or districts that are not in compliance. And we need to provide adequate resources to our Title IX coordinators. In reflecting on Title IX, I am reminded of a quote by Martin Luther King, Jr., who said, quote, "The art of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice, unquote. In closing, I hope that the Title IX webpage and all its resources will be maintained as we continue to educate and advocate to hold educational institutions receiving federal funding accountable. Title IX successes have been plentiful. All people now have greater access to education, jobs and careers, professions that were previously gender stereotyped, and athletic opportunities. Policies have changed to better help survivors of sexual assault and harassment. Pregnancy and parenting students are able to stay in school, and there are greater protection for queer and transgender students. Since President Richard Nixon signed this bill into law, every subsequent president and administration has tried to bend it to align with their ideology. As we move forward, public policy must be constructed to secure and maintain the rights of all individuals, and Title IX advocates must be vigilant in their actions. There is still battles to be fought. We should be grateful to the Title IX pioneers who initiated this journey for equality among the sexes, the one I found myself on decades ago. In the next 50 years, we will lean on the younger activists to carry the torch of equality and justice forward. In the words of Amanda Gorman, the poet laureate, who called us all to action at President Joe Biden's inauguration, quote, "For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it," unquote. Thank you for coming along with me on this Humanics and Title IX journey. This project took a village that expanded within and beyond the campus of Springfield College. My heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to so many people who have been there for me to provide guidance, support, and assistance. I am truly blessed. There are many friends who have graciously joined me here tonight. You know who you are, and I thank you. This list here is extensive, and hopefully I didn't miss anyone. There are a few special people and my amazing family that I would like to introduce you to. They are my support system. I could share what each has brought to my life and what each means to me, yet we would be here another hour. They include Jessica Salucci, Maria Saviano, Patricia McGarry, Maria Montori, Mimi Murray, Jackie Peritano, and Jane Johnson-Botero, and my siblings who are here today. My sister-in-law, Mary, Sharon, Julie, Samantha, Jess, and Timmy, and especially my siblings. All but one is here today. My sister Debbie, Stevie, Richie, Johnny, and Joanne. Thank you for all your unconditional love. Many people often comment how amazed they are that my siblings and I get along so well. While I credit that special bond and connection we have to our amazing parents, John and Irene Mangano. They provided a solid foundation for us, and they sacrificed a lot to make sure we were taken care of. Not a day goes by that I don't miss them, talk to them, and wish they were still physically here with us today. Yet although they aren't here physically, I know they are two angels watching over us every day. Mom and Dad, I miss you, I love you, and you are always in our hearts. Thank you.
wonderful, and you did such a wonderful job. Don't be glad. I know what that feels like. It's a long road. And it is really also my pleasure here to provide you with a pin that represents the completion. And I'll give you this pin until after you're done. You have to get through the year before you get it. And I'll give you this Distinguished Professor of Humanics pin that I truly know Kathy will treasure, as do many of the humanics professors who you see wearing them on their lapels today, because of what it represents, and because it represents the quality of individual that Kathy spoke about, that has done so much for this institution. And you truly belong in this group. So congratulations. So we got a little bit more work to do here, folks. What comes next is also a bit of celebration. We're going to start by honoring those students who are receiving the Distinguished Professor of Humanics Scholarship Award. And I'd like to invite Dr. Peter Polito to come up and join me with Dr. Mangano to congratulate the students as they get each of these awards. Now, as Kathy spoke about, the Distinguished Professor of Humanics do a fundraiser each year that allows us to provide scholarship funds in the form of dollars to our students. This really is a labor of love that I think the humanities professors truly enjoy, besides the wine part, okay? We're gonna have that too. But we do it, and I think Peter has always done it. He actually created this because we know that it helps our most deserving students be able to continue their education here at Springfield College. So Kathy and Peter, will you come up here now, and I will call up those recipients that are here with us. And while not all of our students are here today, I'm going to call down the students that are here. The first one is Kishore Bandari, who is a business management major. Thank you. Thank you very much. Noelle, thank you. That's Noelle Bellenbosch could not be here. She's a digital web media individual. Ali Motion Bozdar. Ali, are you here? Oh, maybe I had to run off the class. Jocelyn Bavaro. Jocelyn. Nicole Cano. Nicole? Sarah Colagero. Samantha Kakari. Samantha? Michael McGillicuddy could not be here today. Emma Rojeski. Emma, I don't believe is here. Sean Savarin. I believe Barsha Shah is here. Barsha. and James Uhar. And to the students that are looking in the certificate for their check, it's not there, but it'll be posted on your student accounts. So thank you. Now for me comes the fun part, as I get to share with the community the announcement of our next Distinguished Professor of Humanics. In the role of provost, there are many jobs that are difficult, but this one is actually fun. So in this process, I get to meet with the current Distinguished Professors of Humanics, and we get to discuss the numerous nominees that are also deserving of this award. And then I take those recommendations to Dr. Cooper, and we get the opportunity to make this final selection. So while it's always a difficult choice, this year's decision seemed very natural and very fitting. So follow along with me as I give you a few hints and see if you can figure out who next year's Distinguished Professor of Humanics is. This year's Distinguished Professor of Humanics began their time as a member of the faculty at Springfield College in January of 2005. Although new to the full-time employment at the college in 2005, he came to the college with almost 30 years of professional service and a strong record of service as an adjunct professor at multiple institutions, including Springfield College. So at that time, you could say he was making a transition to his next career as a full-time faculty member. And as if that substantive professional affiliations and experience as an educator were not enough, what soon became evident to the community early on and remains true today is the caring and compassion that he displays throughout our community. Over the years, this faculty member predominantly served only graduate students, yet his focus was never just on graduate education. He was a consummate community member and is today. Always present at college events, and always sending encouraging and supportive notes and emails to members of the community, thanking them for what they did and taking the time to recognize their contributions. I know over the years I received some of those emails from him, and particularly always enjoyed the warmth in which he greeted me and talked to me as a member of our community. When discussing the nominations with our Distinguished Professors of Humanics that I mentioned, one of our colleagues stated that this individual is defined by kindness, and then went on to make the point that our community could benefit from that kindness and from a leader who's focused on community. I watched all the heads in the room start nodding. And as I said, it was a natural and fitting selection. And yes, this year's Distinguished Professor of Humanics epitomizes community and community service. Did I mention that the over 30 years of professional service was in the social services arena? Am I starting to warm you up with a few more hints here? With the majority of that service coming within the Pioneer Valley. His bio fittingly states that he distinguishes himself as an eloquent voice for the voiceless, the marginalized, and the poor in society. He has been a prominent participant in efforts to promote high-quality life for the community with a particular focus on the well-being of the low-income population. Let me say that I commute between Springfield and South Hadley, and often go home through Main Street in Holyoke. And one day I looked up and saw the face of next year's Distinguished Professor of Humanics on one of those avenue banners, or light pole banners, whatever you call them. And under that picture it said, El Corazon de Holyoke. And yes, my Spanish is rough, sorry about that. But I got that it meant that he is the heart of the city of Holyoke and is beloved by the community for his courage, support, and leadership. In reflecting on my remarks today, I realized that he is also El Corazon de Springfield College. And while not many of you have seen that Avenue banner in Holyoke, but I encourage you to take a ride by there, many of you may have seen him on one of the very few billboards that Springfield College put up on Route I-91 South a few years ago. And in that, he was recognized for the quality education and real-world experiences that he brings to our Masters of Social Work program. Do you have him now? Yes, I am so proud to introduce to you the 2023-2024 Distinguished Professor of Humanics, Professor Miguel Arce. I have the door banners that you get to put up on your door. Very nice. There you go. Please share a few words with folks.
Well, I've never been known to say no to an opportunity to speak with you. First of all, I would like to acknowledge Kathy Mangano. What a wonderful job you did this past year. My God, now I have to do something like that. And still go home and read papers and mark them up. So it was said that I'm kind. Ask my students when they get their papers back. Kathy was so wonderful to acknowledge other people, and I would like to just take a second to acknowledge her. And I would like to point out 3 things that she said that rang so true to me, I had to write them down. And the first thing is, she said she was humbled, excited, and scared to take on the role. And guess what? I'm excited, I am truly humbled, and I'm scared. But she also said she found the courage in her family to have the confidence to do this job and to do good. She said she was intentional. I hope to be intentional. And the last thing that she said, right? What a great role model. Is she's calling us to action. And I'm going to take that statement seriously. So I hope to take as much action as you did, though, my goodness, every single project is distinct and unique. I just hope to have a meaningful contribution to the long history of people that have done this before. So thank you very much.
Thank you. This is such a wonderful event. You almost can't wait for the next passage, but we got to give them a little time. So please, as you leave, please take a moment to congratulate Kathy and to congratulate Miguel. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for coming.